Always a good idea to protect your assets by having the best insurance you can to help you grow your company. And to help us do that, we have David Bagwell here from Bagwell Insurance. How are you today?
Good, Neil. Appreciate you having me in today.
Oh, pleasure to have you. For those who don't know, what types of business insurance do you offer?
With us being an independent agency, we really have a wide variety. We independent agency being that we represent a number of different companies. We would do anything from contractors to professional offices, maybe like a CPA, a banker, to retail stores, to restaurants. So we really have a kind of a wide area we cover in that respect.
Do you advise business people to have a certain minimum amount of coverage, and are there some things that you think they should have that maybe they don't know about?
Yeah, we try and, depending on what the business is or what their exposures are, try and get, whether it's protecting the property or from a liability standpoint, something that we think would cover them in the long run if something catastrophic were to happen. And, really just depends, being that we can offer insurance to so many different businesses, what they need. Some industries just require, just in general, more than others.
And for a professional building, what type of insurance is important?
Well, with that, we see it a lot of different ways. You may have somebody that's a building owner and they want to have a policy that covers the building, and those type of policies are pretty much like a homeowner's, but for a business, you have a lot of other folks that are just leasing a space, so they're not worried about the building. They need coverage for the contents that they have, and of course they want to have their own liability too. So
sure,
we can make that flexible, just depending on the situation.
We're continuing to chat with David Bagwell of Bagwell Insurance on Davis Road in West Augusta, and online at bagwellins.com. And Augusta Business Daily is very pleased to work with you. We had a situation that kind of concerned us we weren't aware of. We used a photo from a sort of a local CVB site, not knowing that it was taken by a particular photographer. And it got us thinking that we should protect ourselves in case, we make mistakes like that, or, something with journalism. And for those who don't know, what's that policy kind of called, I guess?
Sort of in the insurance world, we call that an errors and omissions policy, or E&O. And that, as the situation Neil was talking about, if they inadvertently used a picture that they didn't have the rights to, or, were to publish something that somebody thought was a little untoward or weren't too happy with,
sure,
it can really cover a lot of things, and those are specialized towards the industries that they go to. Like ourselves, we have errors and omissions coverage. If I were to accidentally delete the wrong policy when somebody calls me to add one,
and there was an accident,
something happened, and David deleted the wrong truck, so my errors and omissions would kick in to help me. But that one's really unique because you can have a CPA to have that. A bank could have that.
Right.
A media company,
sure,
like yourself. So not everybody has that sort of exposure, but it's kind of one of the things that every business is unique in what coverage they need, and what we try and provide them.
Absolutely. Anything else you can think of that's a bit out of the box from standard? Someone slipping and falling on your property, or there being a fire. Are there other kinds of insurance that you've written over the years for companies that are a little bit different?
One of the things we fortunately don't see too much, because it's usually going to take a catastrophic accident, that we try and build into a lot of the policies are called a business interruption insurance. Say if a restaurant were to have a fire in the kitchen, it's pretty bad. It's going to take 3, 4, 5, 6 months to repair. A restaurant depends on its location to do business, so they're going to take the business expenses for usually most of the times at minimum up to a year. It would cover some lost revenue, could cover to lease another facility to try and operate a restaurant while the original location was getting back on its feet to be repaired. So sometimes when, there's an accident and, whether it be a storm, a fire, and people, of course, they're like, well, thank goodness I have insurance. They're going to pay for it. But then, then it's like, well, what do we do in the meantime?
Yeah.
How do we keep the payroll going?
Right.
Keep the expenses covered. So most of our companies kind of build in that business interruption. It's not one we have, like I said, fortunately have to use that much, because most people's that have a claim, it's, the building can still be used. It's not, catastrophic, so to speak. But if it's so bad that, you can even, or if it were a retail store, we've had that before, bad storm damage, month and a half, people can't walk in and buy merchandise. So that kind of helps, keep the business going and the expenses paid.
Yeah, lost income and revenue.
Lost income, all those things that just happen all at once when when whatever the situation is happens.
Sure, and for a complete list of services, both for companies and also individuals, you can go to bagwellins.com. And your name is really familiar to people in the CSRA. It's a family business. Talk a little bit about the history of Bagwell Insurance.
Thanks, Neil. Actually, ironically, my father started the business back in 1973, so this is our 50-year anniversary.
Congratulations. I did not know that. Yeah.
So we actually, our first office, he opened off 7th Street, or not 7th Street, off Telfair Street, probably about 9th and Telfair. Early on, my brother and I have both been working there since we were in our early 20s, and, it's something that he and I continue to keep doing the rest of our working life. So we were fortunate, that the foundation my father built, and like I said, it's we're glad to be at our 50-year anniversary and hope we keep it going a lot more.
Yeah,
more years.
That's fantastic. And you mentioned that you work with a lot of different other insurance carriers, being independent. And how does that kind of, like, from your family to theirs, like, how does that help for people that might just need other insurance just for with their families, with their lives? Well,
other than the business insurance, we do personal insurance, home, auto, boats, toys, things like that. And that model sort of works similar to when we're trying to insure a business. We're going to look at a lot of different companies. Some offhand may be better than others, and sometimes we run into a situation, maybe we've had somebody's home and auto with a company many years. They have a bad experience with a claim, which we hope never happens, but does sometimes, and they're upset. And if they're with Hartford, I can move them to Travelers, or vice versa. So that gives us a little flexibility. If whether it's the rates are going up or whatever reason the customer's not happy, we can look at the policy, look at what's going on, take them and move it somewhere else if we need to kind of keep it in-house.
You mentioned your dad started on Telfair Street, and at what point did I know you've ended up on Davis Road. Is that where the move?
Yes, that was the next move. He bought that building in 1985. That was the old government complex, which is now on Ronald Reagan. So
wow.
I tell everybody, if you want to see a good before and after of Columbia County, I think they built that in like 74. So it was there about 11 years, and they moved to Ronald Reagan, and now they've got a whole street or more. But it used to just be our building, the Cadwalder's building, and the stucco buildings behind us was all the county ran everything out of there from the mid-'70s to the mid-'80s.
That's fantastic. And, of course, Davis Road all the way to, I guess it's Walton Way Extension is just really grown.
Oh, yeah.
And can people just stop in and and see
we're at the end of where Davis Road's a very busy road right there across from, we still call it the old Kmart shopping center, but where Carolina Pottery is, right across from the McDonald's. And
my favorite Chinese restaurant.
Formosa.
Formosa.
Yes, and they've been I think they've been there almost as long as we have. They're probably they have to be one of the original tenants, and it's I think they still call it the West Town Shopping Center. But
that's right. Yeah.
But well, you've been around here for a while, so you probably referred to it as the Kmart Shopping Center for a long time.
That's right. Yeah, I remember it very, very well. Yeah. Well,
still in business.
It is. It's great catching up with you. It's a nice surprise. 50th anniversary. Are you all gonna? Have you thought about throwing some kind of party or something?
We're going to do something at some point. My brother and I have kind of got that in the works. We both been busy.
Sure.
You're getting ready for Masters coming up.
Yeah.
So once that's over, once we get back in town from spring break with our kids, we're going to try and put something together. But we're definitely going to do something.
That's great. That's wonderful. And it's a family name you can trust. If you have any needs, either personally or at the office with your business, again, just bagwellins.com. David, thanks again for stopping by.
Thank you, Neil. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.